So first up, Craig asked, "Are you fit to be Bracknell's MP?"
I was elected to represent the best interests of all of my constituents, whether they voted Conservative, Labour, Liberal, and whether they voted Remain or Leave. I'm a trustee. I'm tasked with the responsibility, the privilege of voting in the best interests of my constituents and the businesses around here. I've just come from a business, I won't say which one, who had every sympathy with the decision I've made this week. Business always tries to keep out of politics, and I understand the reasons why, but I can't take you to an employer around here that's enthusiastic about a no-deal Brexit. In fact, I struggle to take you to one who's enthusiastic about Brexit. So when people ask me, what's your responsibility as a member of Parliament, it is to represent the best interests of my constituents and try to protect their futures for them and for their families. And that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years almost, as a candidate and MP, and that's what I intend to do going forward as a Liberal Democrat member of Parliament. I mean, I'm really positive that being a Liberal Democrat makes me better able to serve the best interests of my constituents.
Mm-hmm. So Alice asked, how much longer will you be Bracknell's MP for, and will that be as a Liberal Democrat?
I'm a Liberal Democrat member of Parliament. That's what I am now, formally. Proud of it. When is the next general election? I mean, look at the news. I mean, it's a really fluid situation. So I don't know is the honest answer, because no one knows. My guess is that we're going to have a general election probably in some form at some time in the next few months, the way it's looking, but I don't know that. I mean, technically at the moment I'm the Member of Parliament here under something called the Fixed Term Parliaments Act until May 2022. So that's the longest it can be, and it can be anything, but I suspect it will be a shorter period of time before the next general election takes place.
Okay. Mike and Elaine asked, can you say if the Bracknell Lib Dem party, if they've been in touch with you and if they'd support you being their candidate in the next election?
Yesterday I had a fantastic meeting with the chair of Bracknell Liberal Democrats. A fantastic individual, really. Served his country in the armed forces over 20 years, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan. A proud patriot, actually. And they've already had a vote and unanimously adopted me, It's gone through that formality. And I can't tell you actually how the warmth of the Parliamentary Party and the Liberal Democrats, both in the Commons and in the Lords, the great majority of communications have been so generous, so kind, and look, it's on a human level, it's slightly disorientating. You're leaving a party and you're joining another party. It's like, it's difficult, and it's not straightforward. But my God, I mean, the party I've joined have made it on a human level a so much easier task.
Okay. A lot of people asked this one, but we'll go with Lisa, who said, why aren't you representing your constituents' views on Brexit as Bracknell voted Leave?
Well, first of all, and I think I've said this hundreds of times, no one actually knows how the constituency voted. I mean, not all of the votes are in the public domain. The Wokingham wards are not. The Bracknell Forest wards are. Bracknell Forest Borough, which I don't represent, voted Leave, and Wokingham Borough, which I don't represent, voted Remain. In fact, Wokingham Borough voted more Remain than Bracknell Forest voted Leave. But I would allow that if you were going to extrapolate and everything else, that it is likely that the constituency of Bracknell voted Leave. But again, what I would say is that I was elected in 2017 and 2015 and 2010 to represent the best interests of my constituents. When I'm privy to an understanding of where business is on this issue of Brexit, particularly no-deal Brexit, when I'm privy to information about the known difficulties around medicine supplies in the event of a no-deal Brexit, and all the other things which are now in the public domain, and I'm entrusted with the responsibility to do what is, I believe, as a trustee, is best. I think, in view of the fact that I represent everybody in this constituency, the best interests of everybody, I believe I'm doing that. Now, of course, if you are a no-deal Brexit supporter type sort of character, you're not going to be happy with the positions I've taken. I get that. And to hold that view is you're well within your rights to hold that view. We're a democracy. But ultimately, I have to make decisions on the basis of the information as I understand it. And I don't think a no-deal Brexit is anything other than disastrous for this constituency.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You yourself have talked about a second vote on the Brexit issue.
That's why I resigned as a minister.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I would say is that I've been pretty consistent about this, about making your own personal sacrifices, difficult decisions along the way, because I truly believe that we need to further consult the British public on the Brexit they're going to get, not the Brexit, the nonsense Brexit they were promised in 2016.
So in light of that, Nicholas asked, why don't you give Bracknell's residents a second chance to vote you in via a by-election?
I think the last thing that we need at the moment when dealing with Brexit is by-elections. In fact, actually the last thing we need when dealing with Brexit is a general election. General elections and by-elections aren't single issue phenomena, quite rightly they're about health, social care, education. They're across the board. It's about everything, all right? The problem we've got at the moment in this country politically, the big problem, is Brexit. And even though someone who didn't want the last referendum, because he said publicly that he thought that it would end up like this, I recognise that there is no way, no democratic way of resolving this impasse than going back to the public in a final referendum. And if we do this, I hope it's the last time we have a referendum on a complex issue in a parliamentary representative democracy, because generally speaking, it ain't a good idea.
So Adam asked earlier, you actually said you think you'd be able to represent your constituents' views as a Liberal Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Adam asked regarding your abstention on the vote on marriage equality, does this still make you...
Positive abstention.
Yeah.
It wasn't on marriage equality. It was to do. Do you want me to explain?
Yeah, go for it.
There is a statement online. It's always been there on my website, explaining my voting actions that day, and just allow me to explain it. My personal belief, and this verges on being a conscience issue. It's a philosophical point. Was that the state government should not be involved in marriage. Marriage was a religious construct, and it's the responsibility of churches, synagogues, mosques to undertake marriage. And I wanted the state out of the marriage business, in inverted commas. But what I wanted at the same time, and what I've always believed, was equality in the eyes of the law between homosexual and heterosexual relationships. And so I was backing an amendment to institute something called civil union, which was the state's way of recognising the legal validity of a heterosexual homosexual relationship, and then just saying, if you want to marry people in the church and a synagogue and mosque, that's your decision. That's a religious requirement, nothing to do with the state. Now, I actually think that's quite a liberal position. Now, when it came to the day, the vote was not pushed. The amendment wasn't pushed. So I was left with, do I vote for gay marriage or not? Well, I don't want to vote against equality for homosexual couples. So I positively abstained. So I walked through both lobbies. So my name is published. I didn't just not turn up. I was there considering everything. Now, subsequently, it's happened. And everybody's equal. The issue has passed. And I go, fine. I had a view at the time that I thought the state should just get out of the marriage business. It didn't happen. The interesting thing at the time was that I predicted the complication around civil partnership inequality for heterosexual couples, because the bill, by the way, was terribly drafted. And we've had to subsequently have votes in the House to equalise that. Because why should heterosexual couples' civil partnerships be of a lower I mean, the whole thing was a mess. All right? It was terribly handled. And I was not, happy about it. So what can I do in those situations? I did what I did. At no point for me was it about the fundamental principle of the equality of a gay relationship versus a heterosexual relationship. And that was the statement. And you can read the steps still there, and that was my position. And indeed, on a personal level, I still hold the view that it would be much better if the state had just got out of the business completely of being involved in marriage. But it's done. It's like it's history, and great. Let's all celebrate the fact that both gay couples and heterosexual couples get to live together legally, equal, and everything else. Sort of society I want to live in. And by the way, it's a society I've always wanted to live in.
Okay. Olivia asked, if you were to stand in Bracknell at the next election, whenever that may be, as a Lib Dem, do you think you'd win?
Look, first of all, my decision this week was hardly a career move, was it? I mean, it was hardly like I was, if I was some sort of cynical careerist, someone which you see people like this in the cabinet, who were prepared to do anything in order to stay as a Conservative, I wouldn't have been, just because of the safe seat, in inverted commas, though I question the whole concept of safe seats in the current political situation, I wouldn't have done what I did. I don't have any firm plans to do anything, to go anywhere. But in answer directly, because I like to try to give direct answers, I will be standing as a Liberal Democrat candidate. I think the decision as to where is for another day. My immediate determination is to continue doing what I've always done, which is to try and best serve my constituents to the best of my ability, which is why, by the way, I'm here again in the constituency today doing visits and meeting constituents. I mean, this is what I do. That's the job.
Okay. So just wrapping it all up, in light of everything that's happened this week, everything that's gone on, obviously when I first came in, you read me that letter. What has the reaction been like in terms of your correspondence with constituents?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned to you before we started filming, I mean, my office has been overwhelmed with communications. It's sort of 4-figure numbers. It's huge, and my Twitter feed exploded. I mean, I think there were it's approaching 30,000 sort of likes of my tweets and things. It's sort of Kim Kardashian level. I mean, it's sort of which is unusual. So we've sort of we've been overwhelmed. So I can't really say, the balance of positive negative. However, of course, there have been both. There have been people who are angry with me, some of your questioners, the questions you've had, people, you're not doing what I want. And there have been other people who have been very generous and kind and said, I admire you for your principled stance. So it's been a week of highs and lows. I mean, the act of leaving, I'm in this building. So my parliamentary office is here at the top. This building is in essence owned indirectly by the Conservative Association. And it's an odd feeling coming in here thinking, I'm now a Liberal Democrat and I'm in this office, my parliamentary office, which is at the top, and it doesn't feel right. It's a human thing. And I probably think it isn't right, and I think we need to come to some sort of arrangement to change that situation, because I shouldn't think either side wants that to continue. But on a personal level, there are people in the Conservative Association locally who I genuinely really like, who I've had very close relationships with, and I've had some, difficult phone calls this week, and I think those individuals are respectful and have been quite supportive actually, and it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves locally. But I had to do what I had to do this week because, when you get to that point in life when you look at yourself and think, I've got to do this is what I think is right. Now, people can disagree with it, they're free to, but be under no illusions. I did this because I think this is the right thing for this constituency. I think this is the right thing for my country. I think this issue is a remarkable period. Brexit is a remarkable issue. It's a remarkable period in politics. And I think you're seeing it play out at the moment in a way that I suspect no one expected. I had a fear that it would be like this, which is why I resigned last year. But I end the week after a sort of turbulent up and down, some feelings of sadness, but also some sense of sort of like this relief, but also the positive sense. I mean, I feel like I've joined a party and I feel comfortable. I feel at home. I feel like I can speak my mind. I feel like, okay, this is a political force that I think can do good for this constituency and for this country. And so however difficult some aspects of it have been this week, on balance, I'm content and excited for the future.
Okay, brilliant. Just lastly, you published an open letter yesterday to your residents. I wondered if you'd had any other message, just a short message to constituents for Bracknell News readers.
Well, my message to the constituency and to all constituencies is that I remain the Member of Parliament for Bracknell, and I retain the same values, principles, the same determination to do the best job I can do, as do my entire staff. I mean, everybody is committed to continue to do what we think is a pretty good job. We're proud of what we do in this part of the world. We help people when we can help people. We intervene when we can intervene, and we have a track record of successes in various different areas: education, health, whatever. Constituents know this. Teachers around here know this. Businesses around here know this. And I've had to put up with scurrilous stuff being peddled. All MPs do. I'm not going to start crying over it. I know that me and my office, my parliamentary office here and in Westminster, do try to do the best we can at all times. And the fact that I'm now a Liberal Democrat MP makes no difference to that approach. I will continue to serve this constituency to the best of my ability up until the next general election for sure. And that's always been my determination. And I'm proud of my record.